Welcome to B-Rate Politics with Radio Guy. Please excuse any foul language or misinterpreted views. Now, yes, you might be wondering, why is Radio Guy making a Coup Prep Kit? Well, I will answer that very shortly, but I also want to remind everybody that if you do enjoy the content, I do 1 hour podcasts Monday, Wednesday, Friday over on Patreon. My Monday podcasts are always free, so I highly encourage you to check it out. For example, I'll cover things. I mean, it was on my Friday podcast, but on Friday I had covered U.S. arm sales. Because I'm unannounced to most people, I don't think they realize we're number one, just as we should be. But I covered it during the war on terror, and I was actually kind of surprised with what countries were, who were number one and number two to some degree. It was more or less, I thought we were selling more, which in a way we kind of start doing more or less in the last 4 years. But that's not really the topic. Everybody wants to know, what is a coup prep kit. It actually all originates from this article I had covered on Monday. This quote unquote, historian, which I think's in the. I'm going to post the link to the article. You can check it out for yourself. I think it's the guy's. The person's name is Snyder, something like that. I'm mainly just going off the title. What this is referencing is what's going to happen tomorrow, as there are many Republicans in the House and in the Senate ready to stand up for Trump. And so this is kind of my prep kit for that. We live in a very scary time, and so it makes a lot of sense that everybody should be prepared. So really, it's more of you only really need one thing. It's kind of more of a step. But that one thing leads to a series of steps. So really, the most important thing you need to have and find is your is your U.S. Constitution. Okay, that you got to find some kind. This is a simple pocket Constitution, nothing fancy. Maybe you get this is the paperback version. Maybe you have a hardback, or maybe you like it in a more or less traditional, like roll it out kind of on a big ass sheet of paper. I don't know, up to you. But anything that really says Constitution on it will work. Now, what you need to do next is you need to find you a trash can. All right. Now, this isn't really a fancy trash can, but it works. It gets the job done. It holds what it needs to hold, and you just take your Constitution here. Wait, there we go. Hard to do this all in the frame. Take your Constitution, take your trash can, and you just throw that sucker on in there. It's easy just like that. Wow, now I know how the Neos feel. Speaking of Neos, what you might find in your trash can, as I'm assuming most people are sound of mind, is you might find yourself a good old Neo book. And this one's done by our 43rd president, George W. Bush, a fellow Texan. Now, I've never read the book, but I'm assuming it has very nice Neo points in it. And this is more what you really need in today's world, because in a way we've kind of lost sight of reality. And this is kind of my whole point as to why I'm even covering this. I'm going to set the George Bush book over here. Maybe a halo of the lights of heaven will come and shine down on the knowledge within this book. Maybe while I'm doing this nice little video for everybody. So what is going down on, and that's really all you need. You got your Neo book, you're good to go. You're set for Wednesday. I do that for a reason. On one hand, I love hearing whether it's the media, maybe it's somebody on the right, or more likely than not on the left, and they talk about how, Trump's endangering democracy and the Constitution. It's like a bunch of wannabe Ted Cruzes or something. The reality is, folks, is that there's a reason why I chunked the Constitution in the trash can, which is to say that, well, we did that as a country like 20 years ago. Right here. I'm sure he might even mention it. I don't know if he does mention the Patriot Act in the decision points. Probably not. But, when you have things like the Patriot Act, when you have things like the AUMF, which for people that don't know what that is, basically it's a blank check for the President of the United States to go and bomb wherever the hell they please. So when you have those laws in place, when you've established that, and essentially everybody on the planet is a terrorist, then you really get out of this, like the days of democracy, rule of law, republics. That's really kind of gone. So this is what I think's going on for Wednesday. It's really just all politics. There's really no other way to put it. It's really all politics. The senator that really got the Republican senator who really got the ball rolling on this is a Republican senator named Josh Hawley from Missouri. And he has higher ambitions for public office. Some say, there's rumors saying that he would like to run for president of the United States. Fits in very well. At the same time, you're going to have some Republicans, like Ted Cruz, I think is another senator that's come forward and be like, I support our Constitution. I want, quote unquote, election integrity. See, I have to use election integrity because if I don't, this video would probably not make it to anywhere. So we can all have election integrity. The bigger part in all of it is to really sum up into two reasons as to why the Republicans are even pushing the tactic of essentially challenge the certification of the electors tomorrow and the joint session of Congress. On one hand, presidential ambitions. People like Ted Cruz, especially people like Josh Hawley, they have higher ambitions. They may not want to be a senator forever, but of course, only one person can be president, so they'll have to figure that one out. The second reason, it has to do with more or less that Republicans that are from essentially Republicans that don't want to be primaried, if they were to vote against what's going to go down tomorrow, kind of looks bad because that's what will happen for the most part, most likely. So, again, it's all pretty much politics. It's really not an attack on democracy. The end of the republic. Again, I mentioned, it's the reason why I do the bit with the George W. Bush book, because if those were principles you really hold true to, those are gone. So the reality of it is, in all of this, that you're going to have Republicans that you really think that, let me put it this way. You think all these Senate Republicans and House Republicans really care about election integrity? They don't. And that's not just me saying that. That's also a Republican. I might have covered it on Monday. I don't remember. But Republican Senator Ben Sasse from Nebraska had mentioned that, behind closed doors, most Republicans don't really believe in the whole election integrity thing. And it's like, they're mainly doing this because Donald Trump is very popular with Republican/conservative voters. That's the only reason that they're going behind with this. Because at the same time, we don't really know where Donald Trump is headed after January 20th. He could very well run again. Who the hell knows? Maybe he's going to go do Trump TV. I've heard that mantra too. Whatever he decides to do, right? Especially if he were to seek the office again, the office of the presidency, that's going to sway a lot into, okay, how much longer is he going to lead the party per se? So those are really the two reasons as to why Republicans are doing it. Now, the media, they're going to cover it and really paint the narrative, yes, this is a coup. Now, if this is a coup, I actually said this on my podcast, this is probably the shittiest coup since the Bay of Pigs invasion. And it really is. I can say that with confidence. I think it's more or less, I kind of want to cry deep down because we're basically the country that wrote the book on coups. Obviously, it didn't really start with him, you'd have to go back a little bit. But the point is, really, it's a coup. Why is the media doing that? Oh, because a lot of people want to tune in on that. A lot of people want to watch that. Good highlights. Again, once Trump is no longer in office, CNN, MSNBC, even Fox News, the ratings are going to plummet off a cliff because it's like, oh yeah, there's Joe Biden. And there's the media again asking him the 50th time what his favorite type of ice cream is. Don't really care. At least I don't. Maybe other people do. I don't know. And then finally, as far as the left right now, they're kind of on this tangent of Joe Biden is shafting us. Well, I mean, like I said, Joe Biden, at least not in this video, but what I've talked about for a long while, Joe Biden is a neoliberal. That's what he is. Kamala Harris, neoliberal. Barack Obama, neoliberal. That's what they are. You can either agree with that ideology or not. Now, for me, I'm not a big fan of neos, but that's just me. That being said, not to, because I'm kind of already making this video far longer than it needs to be. I'm going to put a link in the description to this article if you want to check it out. It's not anything groundbreaking. Again, quote unquote historian. It's like, well, I have a minor in history, so I guess that's close enough as to covering this BS, which is really all it comes down to. But I guess for people on the left that, Democrats, liberals, progressives, if they're not, and especially in that progressive column, I guess if they're not too focused on the whole, Joe Biden is shafting us, if they're not too focused on that, they might just be looking at tomorrow as an attack on democracy, or, I think a better way to paint, I think, how progressives and liberals feel about conservatives is really just more or less, and they should come out and say it, so it's the reality of how they feel, which is to say that it's essentially some kind of annual Hitler convention tomorrow. So that's another way of looking at it. And as far as anything else in the news today, is the two Georgia Senate races. I would imagine the Republicans are probably going to end up winning both. It's hard to say. It is a tight race. I would go, if there was a Senate Republican I'd like to see lose, it'd be Kelly Loeffler. Not a big fan. Of course, I think the best case scenario the state of Georgia could do is to send 2 empty chairs to Washington. I've actually been advocating for this for a while now. Those would probably be 2 of the best senators the country has ever seen, for the most part. But sadly, we can't all get into that reality. And so I will leave you all with this. Thanks again for checking out a little powwow with Radio Guy. I think it was a great, but don't just let me thank you. Let George W. Bush thank you. Great guy. Best president ever, if there were no other presidents before him. So yeah, great president. He's an awesome guy. And I'll leave you with that. I hope everybody has a great Tuesday, and thanks for listening to B-Rate Politics with Radio Guy.